All rise.
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Jason Ibrahim. I'm a special agent with the FBI here in Dallas, Texas.
Special Agent Ibrahim, explain to the jury a little bit about what you have to do in terms of your training qualifications to be an FBI agent.
Sure. The minimum requirements to be an FBI agent at this time are a college degree and a minimum of 2 years work experience in any field. If you're selected, if you're hired for an agent position, you go to our academy in Quantico, Virginia. When I went through, it was 16 weeks. It's since been expanded to about 20 weeks. There you have extensive firearms training, tactical arrest training. You take a bunch of different courses, some in interview interrogation, investigative courses in like white-collar crime, violent crime, counterterrorism, those types of things.
How long have you been with the FBI?
Almost 17 years.
How long have you been here in Dallas?
About 6 years.
Is there any particular area that you specialize in or you're assigned to at FBI Dallas?
Currently, I'm assigned to healthcare fraud. When I first arrived here in 2013, I was assigned to our Violent Crimes Task Force and did that for about 4 years.
Agent Ibrahim, I want to direct your attention to about September 2nd, 2015. Are you familiar with the capital murder that occurred involving the victim, Kendra Hatcher?
I am.
At what point did you, as an FBI agent, become involved in the investigation of that murder?
It was in late September of 2015. I think it was about September 21st of 2015. We got a request from the Dallas Police Department as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office to get involved in the investigation.
On what level was your involvement as an FBI agent?
I was one of the case agents, the main primary investigators for the FBI on the case.
Now, at that point, had you, in the course of your investigation, determined that on September 6th, Brenda Delgado had left the country?
I had.
Where had she fled to?
Mexico.
So, Agent Ibrahim, I want to kind of move forward to October 22nd, and I know in the course of your investigation, you became aware that Dallas County had issued an arrest warrant for Brenda Delgado at that point for capital murder. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Describe for the jury sort of what your process is and what your efforts are to locate Brenda Delgado to serve this warrant on a capital murder.
Well, there's a federal crime called unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. So the FBI also obtained a federal arrest warrant for Ms. Delgado. Because we believe she was in Mexico, we contacted our embassy in Mexico City. We have agents that work out of that embassy, and part of their duties are liaisoning with Mexican law enforcement. We advised them of our investigation and told them that we were likely going to need the assistance of Mexican authorities to aid in our investigation.
So were you working in the course of your investigation to find out where Brenda Delgado was exactly in Mexico?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your efforts.
We interviewed some extended family members. We did, serve some subpoenas to get records from social media accounts, from money transfer businesses, those types of things.
In the meantime, our office, the Dallas DA's office, we had petitioned the federal government to get an arrest warrant for Brenda Delgado through the Mexican government. Is that part of the process?
Objection to leading as a witness.
What's the process for getting an arrest warrant for someone who's in Mexico?
When someone's in Mexico or any other foreign country, we generally need to get what's called a provisional arrest warrant. And that's essentially a foreign arrest warrant, which allows the country that we're requesting assistance from to actually apprehend the person.
And it's fair to say that's because Texas warrants aren't any good in Mexico.
That's correct.
Again, objection leading.
Judge, I'm just trying to kind of keep the moving along here. Agent Ibrahim, so through the course of your investigation, at some point was Brenda Delgado actually arrested on that warrant in Mexico?
Yes.
What was the date of that?
That was April 8th of 2016.
At that point, what happens in order for us to get her back, to bring her to justice in Dallas County?
At that point, the full extradition process starts. Extradition is a process by which one country where a crime committed formally requests another country to turn over an individual who has been charged with that crime.
At some point then, you go down and actually take custody from the Mexican government of Brenda Delgado?
Yes. We were advised that her extradition had been granted and became final in September of 2016, and we flew down in October, on October 5th of 2016 to bring her back the following day.
Who went down there to Mexico?
It was myself, a Dallas Police Department detective named James Thompson, and another FBI agent named Danica Boyst.
Please explain to the jury how that actually works. How do you physically get her back here?
On that occasion, we met the Mexican law enforcement authorities at a hangar at the airport in Mexico City. They officially transferred custody of Ms. Delgado to us in that hangar. We were then driven by a van to a commercial airline flight. We boarded the flight with Ms. Delgado, and we flew directly back to Dallas-Fort Worth Airport.
At that point, what do you do when you come back to DFW?
At DFW, we were met by the lead homicide investigators in this case, the Dallas Police Department homicide investigators, and Ms. Delgado was transported by them as well as two of our agents to Dallas County Jail.
In the course of your investigation, did you learn who the players were in this capital murder of Kendra Hatcher?
Objection, relevancy.
Is there relevance to this?
There is. I'm having identified who's involved in this.
All right, I will.
I want you to take a look to your right. States Exhibit 224. Who is that? It's the pic. I'm sorry, you don't know which one's 224. In the middle row, the person closest to you.
That is Kristopher Love.
Next to Kristopher Love in States Exhibit 87, who is that?
That's Crystal Cortes.
And next to that in States Exhibit 79, who is that?
That is Brenda Delgado.
Agent Ibrahim, do you see Brenda Delgado, the person who you went down to Mexico to extradite, to bring her back in the courtroom today?
I do.
Point to her, please. Identify her.
Sure. She's the female sitting on the left end of defense counsel's table wearing the eyeglasses and the apricot or red dress.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Honor, for the record, the witness identified the defendant.
Thank you. The record will reflect.
Now, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about Kristopher Love. Now, at some point, did you make face-to-face contact with him?
I did.
And let me direct your attention to October 1st, 2015. Let's talk about that day. What were you doing with respect to this investigation and locating Kristopher Love on that day?
As part of my investigation, I had obtained a telephone number believed to have been utilized by Mr. Love. We obtained a federal tracking warrant for that phone, which allowed us to obtain the real-time location information associated with that phone. So on October 1st of 2015, we were conducting surveillance trying to locate and identify the user of that phone.
Tell the jury about how you came to make face-to-face contact with Kristopher Love.
At that point, as part of my investigation, I knew that the shooter in this case was identified only as Chris. We got some coordinates for the phone, which took us to an apartment complex in South Dallas at 7310 Marvin D. Love Freeway in Dallas, particularly building number 9 in that complex. We sat in front of that building for several hours, did not see any movement. While we were sitting out there, we obtained some possible vehicle information associated with Mr. Love, and I discovered a vehicle on the west side of building number 9 that matched that vehicle description. I then went into the leasing office to speak to the apartment manager to see if I could determine what apartment that car was associated with. Turns out the registered owner on the license plate was also on the lease for apartment 928. At that point, I relayed the information to other personnel that were conducting surveillance with me.
And then at some point, Kristopher Love was then arrested in that vehicle, is that correct?
That's correct. About 4 o'clock that afternoon, we saw an African-American male descend the stairwell near apartment 928. He got into the vehicle that had been identified as a blue Chrysler Sebring convertible with Tennessee license plates. He drove around the corner to a nearby apartment complex, and where he met with an African-American female and another African-American male. We called Dallas Police MARC units to help us identify the driver of that vehicle, which they did. They came up with a ruse to approach them, basically saying that they had received a complaint about drug dealing activity in the area. They approached all 3 individuals that were near the car, including the driver, and ultimately identified the driver as Kristopher Love.
Were you able to identify the other people in the car?
Yes.
What were their names?
The female was named Katrina Coven, and the other African-American male was Kelly Ellis.
Take a look to your right again at the bottom there, the lowest picture. It states Exhibit 218. Do you recognize the person in that picture?
I do. That's Kelly Ellis.
Your Honor, may I approach? I'll show you States Exhibits 193 and 194. You recognize these photographs?
I do. That's the vehicle that Mr. Love was arrested in.
The jury's already seen these. What you recall was the car that was being driven by Kristopher Love.
I do.
Agent Ibrahim, I appreciate you coming down. I think that's all the questions I have. I pass it to Mr. Rowe.
You mentioned a capital murder warrant issued by Dallas County. What is the date that that warrant was issued?
I believe it was October 2nd of 2015.
October 2, 2015. Now, going back before the other things that you were talking about, the arrest of Brenda in Mexico, is it a true statement that you and I spoke several times by phone regarding her voluntary surrender in the United States?
That's not a true statement. I believe you spoke with my boss at the time,
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Gilberto Bailly.
Abide.
Bailly.
Will you spell it for her?
Sure, it's B-A-L-L-I.
My apologies. But the bottom line is, if we go back to, this would have been April 6th of 2016, correct?
That's correct.
So going into the middle of the week, she is arrested on a Friday of that week on April 8, 2016, correct?
That's correct.
Wednesday, it is known that I am representing Brenda Delgado, and I am having conversations with your boss, with people from the district attorney's office, and the whole subject of that conversation is her voluntarily surrendering somewhere on the Texas border, correct?
That's correct.
And did y'all advise me that if I get it worked out, I had to talk with, it took some doing, is that a fair statement?
I wasn't privy to the discussions. I know they were ongoing when Ms. Delgado was arrested.
Was it, at least from what you know, was I pretty much going around the clock trying to get everything done, talking to the attorney's office and the DA's office and your office about her surrendering, and I didn't know it, but somewhere in Texas.
Yeah, again, I wasn't privy to the discussions, but my understanding is that you were in frequent contact with those individuals and entities, yes.
And did the FBI make assurances to me that if I get her to walk across, and she does, then y'all will come pick her up and fly down there and make whatever arrangements are necessary on the U.S. side of the border?
I mean, that's what the discussions were leading to. I don't think it ever reached that point, but that's what the discussions were leading to, yes.
And then and that was the sole function of my talking with all you guys was we're trying to, or at least mine, trying to arrange her to get arrested in the U.S. jurisdiction, correct?
That's correct.
All right. While that is going on, sometime on Friday, April 8, 2016, the Mexican authorities arrested her, correct?
That's correct.
But the arrangement was supposed to be that noon or 1 p.m. Saturday, April 9, 2016, she would walk across the bridge of Laredo, Texas.
My understanding was the discussions were not finalized, that the discussions were ongoing when she was arrested.
Well, would it be a true statement that y'all know for, well, let me ask you, based on what you know, once I knew where she was walking across, I contacted the FBI field office in Dallas. True statement?
I believe so. I was not privy to those discussions, so I don't know exactly how they occurred and what was said during them.
Approximately 2 p.m.-ish, Friday, April 8, 2016, I finally get another agent. Was it you? It was someone I didn't know, but I had a conversation with another agent and specifically said, tomorrow, I-1 by Laredo, and y'all need to be on the 710 flight to Laredo.
What I'm going to object if you're saying he wasn't privy to these conversations.
The bottom line is, from what was going on with me, she was going to turn herself in. The authorities in Mexico arrested her before that ever happened.
That's correct.
All right. Thanks, sir. Pass the witness.
Are we approaching her?
Yes.
Agent Ibrahim, I want to talk about April 6th. Is there something that happened in this case regarding the FBI that's significant on April 6th?
Objection under Rule 403 and Rule 402.
Thank you.
Also, if I may, objection, no personal knowledge, lack of any foundation, hearsay.
Yes, Ms. Delgado was announced as an addition to the FBI's top 10 most wanted list.
Explain to the jury what the FBI top 10 most wanted list is.
Have the exact same objections
You may,
as it.
you may have a money objection.
Thank you, Art.
It's a list of individuals that have been charged with very serious crimes and that the FBI believes are going to be very difficult to locate and apprehend.
Explain to the jury what resources become available and what effect it has on the FBI's ability to apprehend people when someone's on the top 10 most wanted list.
Well, there's definitely additional money from our headquarters, but also in this case, when a foreign government's involved, our agents out of the embassy in Mexico City were able to garner extensive resources for the Mexican government for this purpose.
Fair to say the Mexicans become much more cooperative when resources are being dedicated their way.
Objection to leading speculation and no personal knowledge.
Overruled.
Yes, absolutely. They dedicated 50 federal police officers for this effort once the announcement was made.
So Brenda Delgado was placed on the top 10 list on April 6th, and then you've already testified to this jury. When was she arrested?
2 days later.
And basically that's solely, in large part I should say at best, a result of her being on the top 10 list. Is that fair to say?
Objection to speculation, lack of personal knowledge, and hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, that's fair to say.
Thank you, sir. Pass the witness.
Is it true that based on what the FBI knew, that the Mexican authorities knew where she was in Mexico for some time before they arrested her?
No, that's not true.
Any reason why any reason why two FBI agents would tell me that?
Objection to hearsay.
Suspended.
And I'd also ask that the jury be instructed to disregard Mr. Miller's question.
Denied.
You said very serious crimes. Is it a true statement? Y'all got people on the FBI 10 most wanted list for mail fraud.
I haven't looked at the top 10 list in a long time. It's possible. If the other component to our list is that they're very difficult to apprehend. So,
But you said very serious crimes. I mean, you had multiple people on the 10 most wanted list at different times for mail fraud, correct?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, do you ever look at the FBI 10 most
I
wanted
do.
list?
I do.
Can you tell this jury whether I'm right or wrong if I said multiple people have been on that list for mail fraud?
I can't answer that question. I don't know the answer to that question.
You've been an FBI agent 17 years.
I have.
That's witness.
Thank you, sir. You may, you stand down and you may leave the courtroom.
Thank you.
First, they call Susan Kerr.
Do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this case will be the truth. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you, ma'am?
Good.
Please tell the jury your name.
My name is Susan Kerr, Kerr.
Ms. Kerr, how are you employed?
I work with the Dallas Police Department.
Where are you assigned to the Dallas Police Department?
I am the forensic manager over 2 units, the Firearms unit and the light and print unit at the police department. And in July or June, I think it was July of 2015, I was promoted to manager. Prior to that, I was the forensic firearms examiner.
Ms. Kerr, tell the jury a little bit about your background in terms of education, experience, and training to do what you do there at DPD.
I received my Bachelor of Science degree from Western Carolina University in 1986, and I was hired right out of college to work with the Charlotte, North Carolina Crime Lab as a crime scene investigator. In 1994, I was hired with the Kansas Bureau of Investigation as a latent print examiner, And I started my career as a firearms examiner in 1996 and started with the Fort Worth Police Department. I also have worked in the same discipline with the Southwestern Institute of Forensic Sciences in Dallas and worked with the Plano Police Department and now with the Dallas Police Department.
So, Ms. Kerr, I kind of want to get to right to why I asked you to come down here today. Were you asked to conduct an examination of some evidence that was submitted to you in connection with the capital murder of Kendra Hatcher?
Yes, I was.
What evidence was submitted to you in testing, examination?
A Smith & Wesson .40 caliber pistol, a fired bullet, and a fired cartridge case, and some ammunition.
Everybody, questions?
You may.
Let me show you State's Exhibit 213. Do you recognize this item?
Yes, I do. My case number, initials, and the date is on the pistol.
Let me show you also 214 and 215. Do you recognize those?
Yes, again, my initials. Case number is on the magazine. And the same for the cartridges.
Now, State's Exhibit 73. Let me show you that. You recognize that?
Yes, I do. My case number, item number, initials, and date.
State's Exhibit number 75. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do. I have case number, initials, date also.
Mayor, may I have the witness step down to demonstrate? Ms. Kerr, I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to step down. I want you to kind of explain to the jury how State's Exhibit number 213 works. If you don't mind.
State's Exhibit 213.
214 also.
The magazine, when filled with ammunition, cartridges, are placed into the magazine lock. The slide is pulled to the rear, and it picks up, as it goes forward, it picks up the very top cartridge. When the trigger is pulled, the firing pin hits the primer of the cartridge and ignites the gunpowder, which the bullet travels down the barrel after that. Basically how it works, each pull of the trigger will fire one cartridge at a time.
I'm holding one of State's Exhibit 215. Is this what you're calling a cartridge?
Yes. Cartridge contains the cartridge case, the bullet, right here, and the primer, which is the small circle back of the cartridge case.
So basically, when you pull the trigger, the hammer hits the primer.
Fire pin hits the primer, ignites the gunpowder, and the bullet travels down the barrel very quickly.
Now, what happens to this, the silver coated part after the bullet is shot out of the gun?
When the slide goes to the rear, it extracts that cartridge case out of the chamber. It ejects the cartridge case to the right out of the gun, and as the slide goes forward, it picks up the next cartridge and puts it back in the chamber, and it's ready to be fired again.
Now, typically, when this particular gun sits in the 213, if it were fired, which direction? Let me just do a demonstration here. If I'm holding it up this way, which way would the cartridge case be ejected?
Since the ejection port is on the right, it'll eject up into the right.
You should take a seat, please. Ms. Kerr, I also want to show you State's Exhibit 75. This was a cartridge case found in Kendra Hatcher's vehicle on the floorboard on the passenger side. Is this a .40 caliber cartridge that could be fired from this gun?
Yes, actually, I examined this cartridge case. I microscopically examined this cartridge case after I test fired the firearm, State's Exhibit 213.
Yes.
During my examination of the firearm, I will physically examine it. Visually, I will do a mechanical operation on it to make sure it's working correctly. And I will test fire it using, hopefully, ammunition that came with the gun. And in this case, there was ammunition that did come with the gun. So I was able to test fire initially two cartridges. With those two cartridges, those are known cartridge cases and bullets from the gun. And I was able to microscopically compare the State's Exhibit 75 to the test-fired cartridge cases from the gun.
State's Exhibit 213, that gun, .40 caliber Smith & Wesson, in your opinion, fired State's Exhibit 75, that cartridge that was found in Kendra Hatcher's vehicle.
That is correct.
Now, State's Exhibit 73 in front of you is another item that the jury is seeing. It's a bullet fragment that was found next to Kendra's body at the crime scene. Were you able to examine that item?
Yes, I was able to examine the fired bullet, and there were not sufficient individual characteristics for me to identify the State's Exhibit 73 to the gun.
What types of things can affect your ability to get an identification on a bullet?
It depends. It could be the barrel doesn't reproduce very well. It happens on occasion. The ammunition that I'm using, even though I tried different ammunition, I still was not able to identify the bullet to the gun.
How about a bullet hitting something like in the skull, for example?
Yeah, damage can affect whether we are able to identify a bullet to the gun. That is correct, too.
Question, Judge?
You may.
I'll show you State's Exhibit 71. This is what is State's Exhibit 71?
State's Exhibit 71 is a Smith & Wesson magazine,
What caliber is it?
.40 Smith & Wesson.
Now, the jury knows that this was found next to Kendra's body as well. Is this magazine, would it fit in State's Exhibit 213? Smith & Wesson, .40 caliber.
Yes, it does.
Well, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 223. Is this a copy of a report you generated documenting exactly what you just told the jury?
Yes, it is.
State Officer State's Exhibit 223.
Objection here, sir.
I'll lay a business record. Go ahead.
Thank you.
This document, a business record kept and made in the regular course of business by you at Dallas Police Department?
Yes, it is.
Is it the regular practice of you in your capacity as DPD to make records like this?
Yes, it is.
Is the information contained in this record, was it made at or near the time of your examination?
Yes, it was.
And obviously you did it yourself, so you have personal knowledge of what's in it.
That is correct.
Officer State's Exhibit 223.
No objection.
Admitted.
Ms. Kerr, I think that's all I have. I appreciate you answering my questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Milner?
Permission to approach the witness.
You may.
This magazine goes in what is effectively the handle to the gun, correct?
That is correct.
All right, if I just start firing this gun, will that magazine just drop mid-floor?
It should not.
If I was sitting here holding the gun, what, particularly this, what do I have to do to make the magazine drop out of the gun? Would I have to do something?
Yes, you would have to push the magazine release of the gun.
Is there some button?
Yeah, there's a button. Oops. Magazine release is this button right here.
For the record, that's to the left side of the trigger, just behind it, kind of at the top of the handle. Is that true?
That is true.
All right, so if I'm holding the gun, whether I'm shooting or not, I press that button, it'll fall out, correct?
That is correct. It should.
Well, unless it's damaged, right?
Yes.
But you examined this one, this one's working, correct?
It was working, yes.
Did the magazine eject when you pressed the button when you checked it?
Yes.
Shooting the gun should never make the magazine fall, correct?
It should not.
That's what it's.
Maybe they stand down if we leave the court. Members of the jury, our next witness might be lengthy, and it's going to be the last witness of the day, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a break right now. It's about 2 o'clock. It's 10 to 2. You'll be back in the jury room a little after 2, please.
All rise.
My opinion, if I had to pick one of those.